As we know, database management system is a big domain and there are lots of things you can do with this particular domain, right? And in this domain, we use one of the software that is MySQL. And in this MySQL, we have learned about what is subquery and we will have a look at how to use this subquery. But what is subquery? To understand that, maybe you will have 2 or more queries at a time, right? So do I need to write a 2 separate query, right? No. So in that case, you will come up with a solution or you will come up with a alternative that is known as subquery. So in this tutorial, we are going to talk about what is subquery and how can you use subquery in your own database management system and what are the concepts you have to know to start with subquery. Now we are going to look at what is subquery. Subquery is a SQL command again, which is nothing but a select query that contains another query inside. Oh my god, but how it works, right? It's not that complicated. Go with one by one. What is subquery? What are the types of subquery we have? What are the parts we have in subquery? Right? Talk about what are the types of subquery we have. We have 2 types of subquery. One is nested subquery and the second one is correlated subquery. Right? So what is nested subquery? So nested subquery first executes the inner select query, right? It will obviously the way we saw. So it first executes the inner select query and then within the returning values executes the outer query. So if you look at it, don't think about all these complicated terms. Think of first you execute a query, you got an output. From there, that output you are going to use for the next query. So that your next query will be your outer query. Now comes the correlated subquery. So a correlated subquery reads every row in a table, right? It's gonna read every row you have in your table and comparing values in each row against related data. Okay, so first it will read all the rows in the table, then it will compare each row, right? Each row with each other against the related data when your data is related. So this is the 2 types of subquery we have. Have a look at how many parts we have in subquery. So basically we have 2 parts. One is inner query, one is outer query. So we have 2 parts in subquery, right? We will do the demo on that as well. Now, first we are going to look at how the subquery executes. Yes. So first, whenever you are going to give an inner query, it get executed. Then it will take the result from the inner query because in SQL you cannot hold your data, right? So suppose you want to take a output from one particular table and you need to use that to the other particular table. So in that case, you need to go for using join or else in the subquery, right? So again, first it will execute the inner query, then it will hold the data of the inner query, then the output of inner query added to the outer query, right? So whatever the result you get from inner query, it will be added to the outer query. And then outer query will get executed to get the final result, right? So at the end of the your execution of outer query, you will get the final result, right? So this is the process of how subquery executes.